Que pasa, mi amigos? It's Nima here. I've got a good question for you. How do you review a game that doesn't have a set combat system? Or how do you evaluate a game that doesn't really have a story? At least not a conventional story. How do you evaluate a game that in and of itself has made bugs and glitches a part of your experience in the game? Strap in. This is going to be a rough one. Maybe not for you, but definitely for me. Because I'm going without a safety net. I've got nothing. I'm up here on the tightrope, no script, no nothing, because it was really hard to figure out how I'm going to talk about tERRORbane. See, if you're a fan of video games, and the first 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours of this game will 100% put a smile on your face. It's crazy. You start off the game, everything is interactive, but at the same time, everything is controlled by developer, the head developer right there. You can see his screen, you can hear his voice. He has a lot of control. You can't even name your character what you want it to be named because he'll change the name, which is hilarious. And everything you kind of come across, he'll either help you or hinder you. At the beginning, he kind of hinders you quite a bit. And essentially, you get into this game where you're trying to stop this ultimate evil, and it's very cliche, but it's filled with bugs, and the developer is trying to tell you that it's perfect, it's the greatest game, as he's trying to override things and fix things as you're playing it, and you kind of screw him up while he's trying to do it, because you're also sort of trying to break the game, really just to annoy him. There isn't any bigger story outside of that, only just to kind of see how far you yourself can eventually break this game. Now, this game has a lot of different aspects to it that I think are amazing. For instance, the combat system. It's a turn-based part of it. There's part of it that's like a card game. There's a Pokemon style catch 'em aspect, and there's also a part of it where it's like a rhythm game, like a dance game, and you have to hit the right keys at the right time to the right rhythm. As well as like I said, the story is multi-layered in the fact that there is this main story of tERRORbane that you're trying to play and trying to figure out. And again, it's very cliche, and most of it, outside of being cliche, it's purposely cliche, and it's purposely funny. This is one of the most hilarious games I've played. And yet, the other aspect of it, though, that I think a lot of people would appreciate is all the callbacks to, there again, Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, a lot of Final Fantasy references in the game. And I enjoy all of that. And the game gets it so right in so many ways. And it's a ton of fun. But as I think about it, that old saying, the brightest flame burns quickest, it sparks for me because this game, it sort of has the best 3 to 4 or 5 hours of any indie game I've played, as far as creativity, uniqueness, and just overall the ability to create this amazing meta world that I've never seen done in this style or this way before. But after that, the game kind of falls apart. And I don't mean that as in the bugs break it or anything of that nature. I just mean your own internal drive for the game kind of starts to wane. And I think it's because after you beat the game, and I use quotation mark because you don't really beat the game, you beat tERRORbane, the game that the developer was working on, the game that you are playing, but there's still more of the game tERRORbane, the product you purchased, I'll put it that way. And in that, you go around and you find more errors and you try to break things, really just to mess with the developer. And I think that's part of the issue with it, though, is that after you beat the game, which again, it has it's a corny narrative story anyway, but you still, for some reason, it gives you some purpose, and so you're sort of following this path while you're experiencing all of this chaotic glitching and interactions with NPCs and other people and this funny writing. But once you take away that momentum, that path, then you kind of start to realize, oh, this is like a collecting game. This is kind of like a walking simulator where I'm just trying to find things. And that is when it really starts to rear its ugly head, because I think the problem is this game did so many things that a lot of games didn't. But the one thing that it didn't do, that it should, is it didn't give you any sort of ties, any sort of feels for any of the characters. You don't care about anyone in the game. Not the dev, not the main character, no one. There's not an NPC because no one really has an opportunity to open up and have a story. There's no interactions really. You understand that pretty much you're kind of an asshole, and the dev is too, and that's That's the story of the game. And so you don't really care to push the story further. You kind of enjoyed at least having that like false story. You knew it was false, but you enjoyed that while that other chaos was happening, and it gave you an outlet, a direction. And once that's taken away, you can really start to see that this game kind of has a hollowness to it. It's probably the best way I can explain it. And I understand that there's an aspect of it that's saying, yeah, but this is a fake game. This is, this isn't the game. The game that you're talking about, you're referring to with the boss and all that, that's not real. No, that's true, but much like, I don't know, Wreck-It Ralph, for instance, we knew that these characters were made up, essentially. They could be glitched out and whatever, but we still cared about the characters. And that's all I'm saying. Like, they should have developed their characters a little bit more, and maybe we would have cared a little bit more. And maybe it would keep you engaged a little bit more. I think that, like, ultimately, I love where this game's going. Like, I like the direction of it. I just think that there's a lot that they need to do on the personal end of it. Like, they've got a lot of, like, the flash and a lot of crazy creative ideas, but now maybe it's time to focus on story a little bit, character development, things of that nature. And finally, I will just leave you with this. This game is incredibly non-conventional, non-traditional, and potentially, maybe that's what makes it shine. And maybe me trying to hold on to some security blanket of conformity, if you will, or tradition, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe that the whole thing is great the way it is. I'm not saying I for sure, I don't know, I'm not positive in my fact that, like, I don't love the game, because I do like it quite a bit. Do I recommend it? I don't know. And that's where I come back and forth on. And I think, like, for a lot of people, I think they would enjoy that first 4 or 5 hours. After that, it kind of drops off. The problem is the game's like $15, and that's pretty expensive for like a 3 to 5 hour game. And maybe one that people wouldn't even like at all, because it's very unique. It's got a very distinct flavor to it, and I don't know how many people are going to go for that. But this is one that I would keep like on a wish list, one that I would kind of just check on every now and then, and if it does drop in price, which I think it will. Honestly, I think it will. I think a lot of people are going to miss this game, and I think it's going to go down in price, and that's when I would get it, because it definitely is worth experiencing. I just don't think it's worth experiencing for $15, $20 in that range. Anyway, that's my thoughts on tERRORbane. Again, I liked it. I don't know. It's a very interesting game to play. But I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for hitting that like and subscribe button and all that good stuff. You guys are the best. I truly, truly mean that. Sorry for this being so out of whack with no script, no nothing. But it's the way it had to go. It's the way it had to be. Take care, guys. Love you.